Weaving the World, a loom of conversations of inspiring contributions. Here you will find brilliant strands weaving new foundations for a world of generosity, beauty, and passion.
Hello, listeners. This is Sharon Riegie Maynard of Weaving the World Media, and I am thrilled that we are able to be a voice into the world. Our world is changing, and we are here to showcase those voices. And I have with me in the studio today author, actress Rivera's son. So welcome, Rivera.
Thank you so much, Sharon. It's so wonderful to be on your show.
It's going to be a fun conversation. Now, Rivera sings the anthem of our times and rallies us to meet adversity with gusto. You're basically an actress, a dancer, a poet?
All of the above. I sometimes joke that I'm a AAA threat, an actress, an author, and an activist.
Oh, there you go.
Although the funniest thing about calling myself an activist is that I feel like I don't actually do anything more than is our civic duty as a citizen of our nation, that we have tremendous opportunities within the context of even an alleged democracy, and to speak up for what is right, to stand up for what is right is part of that.
And so activists should be who we all are.
Especially right now. I mean, every activist I talk to says, I wish there were 10 more of me. And they would like to see people who do actually not maybe even the necessarily most largest or radical active things, but simple things that we do on a daily basis, like email lists or, getting water for the protesters. There are ways that everybody can be involved. And I've learned this as I've, kind of bent my acting ability and my pen, especially as an author, to the task of raising awareness about social issues. Both of my novels, The Dandelion Insurrection and Steam Drills, Treadmills, and Shooting Stars, tackle the issues of our time. There's not enough people talking about this, especially in literature. I found that I'm kind of one of the few modern social protest novelists. And we know a lot of the older ones, like John Steinbeck or Upton Sinclair, who wrote The Jungle. But we are at another major time in history when we, as artists and writers, need to bend every fiber of our being to helping humanity get through their crisis.
I think that's really true. I live in Washington State, and as most of the listeners will know, Washington State had labeling GMO on the ballot this last election. Here in the Citizens, we had well over 50%. It was just a given that it would happen. And, of course, there was $52 million brought in from out-of-state interest groups. Now, anytime there's a lot of money being brought in to influence an issue, those of us who have been in the political arena a little bit know that there's manipulation right there. And that would be one reason to vote against whatever the money people are supporting, right? But, of course, the GMO labeling did not pass. And it was because of the ads that were run with this $52 million. Now, when I ask questions around that, what I am told is that kind of ad campaign based on lies, not even on truths, will always influence those who are what I call politically illiterate. Those who are too busy to look into the issues, think it's not worth their time to look into the issues, and so they don't have their own information to combat the lies that come in from the money groups. And so I'm really glad to hear you say that every way we can, we need to keep the issue and the educating on the front burner.
Right. Well, I think what you're reminding me of is former President Jimmy Carter, about 6 months ago, 4 months maybe, said that we no longer have functional democracy in the United States at this time. And that is a huge, tremendous thing for him to say, and it made very little news here in the U.S., of course. I was writing The Dandelion Insurrection before Jimmy Carter said that story, which is a nonviolent struggle to restore democracy to the people of the United States, using our hearts and our spirits in action, and using strategic nonviolent struggle, as well as more emergent forms that have come about. And the book turned out to be very prophetic. So I was writing in the winter, And in the summer, Jimmy Carter said that. It's almost verbatim a line in the book. So then the book answers the question that Jimmy Carter's statement begs, which is, if we don't have functional democracy, what do we have? If we don't want what we actually have, how do we change it?
Yes, exactly. You know, you're an excellent writer, and listeners, her writing is just fun. Even though it's difficult to hear, you know, some of the things that you bring us face to face with, we are on this path that the Dandelion Insurrection speaks of. Some of those places are very hard, but I remember a woman I interviewed, Lisa Marshall, several years ago, talking about training leaders. The title of her book was Speak the Truth and Point to Hope. And I think that's exactly what the Dandelion Insurrection does. Give our listeners just a little synopsis.
The Dandelion Insurrection is a story of love and revolution in a time that looms just around the corner of today in the United States, where the disturbing trends of police militarization and the corporate control of politics have reached their next phase of evolution. Kind of a scary place to be. Mm-hmm. But it's also a place that calls out our courage from the depths of our being. And this is the story that the main characters, Charlie Ryder, who is a small-town reporter, who becomes a voice of the Dandelion Insurrection when he anonymously starts penning the essays of the man from the north that start to sweep across the country and ignite insurrection. And his partner in, not crime, but revolution, Zadie Bird Gray, who is a revolutionary figure, a very poetic, outgoing personality who has traveled all around the country and keeps her finger on the pulse of what's happening. So the two of them collaborate to bring the Dandelion Insurrection from the hearts of the people into action on the streets. And I won't tell you more than that, because that would give away the story.
Why Dandelion Insurrection? Why the name?
Oh, because dandelions are an eternal symbol of the indomitable spirit rising up in the worst of conditions with a great big golden flower blossoming. And there's a secret to the dandelions, too. Not only are they tenacious, not only are they edible and medicinal that are called weeds, I mean, I think we can really relate to that. We're really quite wonderful, useful people that our government certainly doesn't value to the extent that they should. But the dandelion has a secret, which is that when it is tired, when it is almost done with its life, when it's on its last breath, it grows silver seeds. And the children come along and pick the dandelion, and they make a wish and they blow. By carrying the wishes of children, the wishes of people who have hope, the dandelion spreads throughout the country, and it can never be stopped.
Perfect. You know, there's the quote, when fear is used to control us, love is how we rebel. And so this book is definitely a must-read.
And it's interesting because steam drills brought me to a point of recognizing that to make real change in this country, we have to make systemic change, and it's going to take struggle. And so when I came to write the Dandelion Insurrection, I went deeper into that. I said, how does this work? How do we make effective struggle? Because we can't just march down the street with our banners. That's a symbolic gesture, and it has its place. But we need to understand where our real power as citizens lies and how we effectively wage and wield that power.
You know, and the way I got into the work that I'm doing is really recognizing the power that women have, and their first responsibility, I believe, is to birth the culture, to birth and then protect the culture, so that there is an environment that is good, beneficial for all that they love. That, for me, that's the feminine that's been lost. That's why, for me, I so encourage them to find that voice from within their belly wisdom, their heart. What is the culture you want for your children? I agree, it has to be systemic and getting back to the values that mothers hold for those they love. And then how do we move forward is so aptly shown in the Dandelion Insurrection. So what do you hope this novel will accomplish in the world?
Oh, I hope it is read by millions and inspires them to take action, to know that change at this time is a moral imperative. And not only that, but that is where our love-based society is going to be found, in those who are struggling for change right now, because our hearts call us into action.
The book shows us the next phase of evolution from the systems we are currently in. And we might want to not read it. We might want to deny it. We might think it's too difficult. But we're in a journey that was set by agendas of greed and control and profit for the few. That hasn't been eradicated. It does have a next step, a next phase of evolution. And the Dandelion Insurrection shows you what it is. Again, she's speaking the truth. Well, she's pointing to hope.
The Dandelion Insurrection, when people read it, they contact me. It's phenomenal, the amount of readers that I hear from, and I love it. I love to hear from the readers. And what they ask me is the Dandelion Insurrection real, and how can I get involved? I tell them that they're very lucky, because the first wave of Dandelion Insurrection readers has gathered together and has created a group called the Love in Action Network. They are launching multinodal networks throughout the U.S. where people can gather together in their towns and learn more about nonviolent struggle and strategy and philosophy, and hold these discussions like what we're having right now, and find ways to effectively take back people power and use it to create that culture that you talk about.
This is not a leaderless insurrection. It is a leaderful. Everyone's a leader. And so here's an opportunity to really practice. And the other thing that we want to make sure we cover is that we also want to help sponsor a discussion group of those who are reading or have read the Dandelion Insurrection here at Weaving the World. And so we plan to encourage you to read the Dandelion Insurrection. We've set aside February 8th as an online book discussion and sharing of ideas and actions and building community is important to us all the time. And so here is a book that it'd be great to get for yourself and for your friends.
Right. You know, when you say there's not too many things I need, there are a few things I need in my life, and that is love, that is connection with others, that is ideas, as you said, conversation. And on a big scale, I think we need revolution. And I think we can help foment that by actually reading the Dandelion Insurrection and having these conversations with each other. It's already happening. I've seen it again and again with this book, and people just, their golden soul starts shining, and that is the greatest tribute an author can ever hope to elicit in the reader.
I truly believe humanity at our core is aspects of all good. So we're coming to the end of our time together. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to our listeners?
I would just say that we are in a time of immense change and upheaval. And for me, in my life, I choose to embrace this as the greatest adventure, the greatest opportunity of a lifetime I will ever have. And rather than being afraid of the change, to embrace it and to let it be permission for me to live life less ordinary and have an adventure of a lifetime.
Listeners, the insurrection, the change, the shift, whatever name you give it, is happening. And it is, like Rivera said, this is the greatest adventure you will ever have in your life. You will never have this opportunity again. Come back often, share our conversations with your friends, and until then, blessings.